Hello, everybody. This is Klint Macro and Matt Mallory with Meet the Pressers Live. We're coming at you through the interweb live tonight. We have some special guests, but first, I want to let you know that Meet the Pressers is a safe place. We're in our 8th season, a safe place where trigger pressers can congregate and discuss and fellowship and talk about things like political activism, education, training, gun rights, you name it. If it's trigger presser related, we're on it. So we've got a very special panel this evening, and I look forward to my partner, Matt Mallory, to give the excellent introduction.
Well, we have a illustrious group of people that we were able to spend a little bit of time with. And you like that word, Clint?
Illustrious, yeah.
in Texas, just a short week, little over a week ago. And we got to interview tons of people. So we're hoping to kind of catch up with them and see who they interviewed, some of the highlights of the show, and go from there. So without further ado, why don't we start with, I think, a gentleman, chivalry's never dead. So Cheryl Todd, Gun Freedom Radio.
You do that almost better than I do. I'm really enjoying that. Hey, thanks you guys so much for inviting me to this soiree. I'm excited to be one of the illustrious guests. We're just going to keep pulling out big $10 words all night. Not going to work?
That'll work.
That might be the end of my list of $10 words, but I've used 2. So.
Well, when politicians are running, usually those words get pretty big too. For us to them, then. So, how interviews and stuff, Cheryl? Who did you have that were standout ones that I know you had one that was recently just taken down? We were talking about earlier.
Yes, still very, very frustrated about that, and I was so excited to have been able to interview Mark Oz Geist from Benghazi. You know, he's one of the Benghazi defenders and part of the 13 Hours movie and book. And I am telling you, I've rewatched that multiple times, and we're not trying to sell anything. We are just talking about his experience without even getting into any of the nitty gritty of his experience. So it is a complete mystery to me why that got pulled down from YouTube. So thank goodness for Rumble. It's still out on Rumble. But I did get to sit down with a couple of guys that, I mean, they're huge, and I couldn't believe that I could even get them. Matt Mallory and Klint Macro, like, huge.
I was like, what's she gonna say? And then I'm like, them guys.
No, it was terrific. We did like 13 interviews in the day and a half that we were even there. And so it was, I call it speed dating style interviews. It's like, sit down, get the work done. Thank you very much. Out of the chair. Come on, next. Sit down. You know?
For sure. So you're doing stuff on Rumble. Is anybody else doing anything on Rumble? I know Bob, we talked earlier. Bob is Michael, Craig.
I think we're on Rumble. Yeah, I think we broadcast on Rumble.
Yeah, we're kind of.
I don't think you have much of a choice to cover your butt, honestly.
Yeah, I think we're slow to the game, but we're moving towards the Rumble effect as well.
Well, I had my biggest audience on Gunstreamer, but
where'd that go?
They completely changed their format.
Yeah, and
so all of that work, all of those numbers, poof, like you said. So I mean, they've got to go where it's best for them.
Yeah,
I'm an entrepreneur. I get that, but it is just, trying to build something and then rebuild something and, get what do they call it? Shadow ban, all the different things that happen to us in this industry. It's an uphill climb if you look at the numbers and care about the numbers. And I, from the beginning, I decided that is not what I was going to do. We aren't trying to find sponsors. We've been blessed that our own businesses have been able to sponsor all of our travel and all of the work we do. And so I really can just focus on putting out, the best content that I can, and, let God figure out the rest of it. Because really, I would have never guessed that this is what I would be doing in my grandma years. And yet here I am. So it's got to be God's work, and it's up to him where it goes and what happens to it. So that's just kind of where I have to be with it. And it's been amazing, really. We're in our 10th year, and look at this screen full of people that I've gotten to meet that I would have never met if it weren't for having Gun Freedom Radio.
I'm sure we can all kind of echo the same sentiment with each one of our programs. Back to your point about the shadow banning and stuff, as a true libertarian, I have to respect personal property rights. But man, it gets to be so frustrating when they keep moving the goalposts and the welcome mat to the left and to the right, without really even letting us know. And like that interview, I got to watch that interview with Oz sitting back. I was standing behind, just in the walkway while you were doing. I can't imagine that there's a reason that one would be pulled down, especially considering some of the other things that I see other people getting tons of hits on. So the inconsistency is also rather frustrating.
Did you stay on the other side of the caution tape? I'm just wondering, because there was police caution tape at our booth.
Hey, I commandeered that from one of the officers downstairs. They put an APB out on me. They put a bolo. Be on the lookout for. Just kidding.
Well, what makes some of it worse is the fact that there's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to go to. I mean, we lost our YouTube channel for 3 years, right? Wow. The rundown. And what was the trip about it was they said, well, first of all 3 strikes, the first 2 strikes were on videos that were like over a year old. And the last strike was literally, they said, well, it was due to medical misinformation. And literally the only thing medical that we talked about on that entire show was Mike. Well, y'all know Mike.
Yeah.
Mike says COVID with a K is fake.
Oh gosh.
No.
Hey, I can do
broke the camel's back.
I can do just a tiny one better on the COVID years. I think we all know a guy who knows a guy, right? I know a guy who knows a guy. I know the guy who the Defense Department sent to certify the lab in Wuhan. And I asked him, and he goes, yeah, are you kidding? Of course it's a lab virus. I explained, I was there. Here's what I saw. And so I went with that. And not only was my Facebook knocked down, my entire site was knocked down.
Wow.
I got something like 15,000 attacks per minute from the Pacific Rim and down into the Asian area. Till a friend of mine who like monitors my site, he goes, "What did you do to the Chinese, for God's sake? I mean, you small potatoes." I said, "Well, I managed to throw the right small potato at the right time. Cost me a ton to get the site back up. I had to change everything. I had to change a lot of the way we handled information because, Facebook seems easy after getting whacked by the Chinese. But I've been very lucky. I mean, partly I just focus on my own site, which is hosted on Vimeo, which I've been involved in since Vimeo started. So they actually like me. I've been there a long time.
I think a lot of people like you.
Yeah.
I don't know. You should see the mail I get. I mean, the email.
Nobody said I don't want to be on the show with this guy. So none of the other people on the screen said, no, I'm not going on with him.
But yeah, it's my model on Facebook works. I've had a couple of shows knocked off over like maybe 1,000 shows, which is kind of humorous. Hickok 45 asked me, he goes, "I don't understand. You and I do the same thing, and yet you're still on Facebook." Said, "I'm going to write down what my model is, and it works. And so you might try coming back with this model. It's a little tricksy rabbit stuff, but basically, I mean, once you accept the fact that they hate us and want us to die, everything that they do makes perfectly good sense."
Well, speaking of
Got a point.
Speaking of that, David says, "I hate the NRA TV shut down. There should have been a place consolidated for all of the gun tubers to go." And Klint, you want to talk about the app that we just talked about last night? Mention that real quick.
The app we just talked about last night.
The NRA's app.
Oh yes, of course, the NRA app. Yeah, if you aren't aware, the NRA has an app that came out. They announced it maybe a week or so before the NRA annual meeting. But it's kind of a central hub where people can access all NRA things, including media. And as I understand it, they're going to be sharing some content, which is pretty awesome and might be a great opportunity for each one of us ultimately. But even better yet, a greater opportunity for NRA members and folks that subscribe to the app, because they will have an easy place to get a hold of the information that we put out there, which is.
And if I can say, because when I talked with a number of the board members, the thing that was I really appreciated about both the voices, the voices of 2A, what they were doing and what they're doing with the app is, it used to be like the NRA was very restrictive as to what voices they projected and what they allowed to be heard, as well as those that they actually allowed to project what they were saying and what they were doing. And this move, the direction that they're going is really, it's expanding not just the 2A community, but it's also expanding their voice and allowing us to be a part of it as opposed to being on the outside looking in. And that was very frustrating in the past, because if you ever tried to get someone officially from the NRA on to talk about their positions or anything, it was not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I was told that by a number of people that at the NRA there's the Second Amendment, but not the First.
Yeah, there you go.
And,
That's that was exactly how it was.
It was really difficult to get them to talk or to even speak on behalf or whatever, just like you're saying. But I think that that's a testament to there's a whole new group of people at NRA, and it's almost like it's like a whole different organization with the same name.
Yeah.
And I think that new group just sees, hey, you know what? You can't control speech anymore. With the internet, with everybody having such a strong voice, anybody with a internet connection can get out there and talk. I think they've realized, you know what? We can't strictly craft every single little message and control people like we used to be able to do that. Or not, and I say that, not we used to be able to do that, but the old NRA used to do that, because it's a whole new group of people.
For sure.
I think that was the whole reason for Voices, to have us all there. I mean, every board member I talked to and the vice presidents that I talked to and so forth, they all know and recognize they need to do two things. They need to get younger, and they need to get, hipper, for lack of a better word. That's an old word for trying to get younger, but that's the whole reason all of us were there. The new media is the media they need to lean into. If you're going to get 30s and 40, 30 and 40-year-olds to get into the NRA and start replacing some of the 50s, 60s, and 70s who are kind of, ultimately phasing out like we all do, you got to find them where they are rather than dragging them from where they are to where you want them to be. So going to the, having all of us there, going to the podcast place, making them, getting an app. I mean, for crying out loud, well, who doesn't have an app? You want to reach that crowd, you're going to have to literally, change the way you do things. And I just thought that was a phenomenal idea. And I think it's going to be extraordinarily successful. The whole NRA is rebranded, which it needed to do. I mean, modified rebrand, I guess, because of some of the problems of the past leadership and so forth. But they did. They are rebranding, and they are trying to reach out and become younger and more, with it, and engaging the Gen Z crowd. And I just think that's a phenomenal way to go about it.
Absolutely. No. On that note, who here was their first year? Because I know, Michael, you were there last year. Okay, so Bob, that was your first time.
First year, yeah.
Yeah, last year, and then I know
on
Craig.
Media Row, yeah.
Right. The new voice of the Second Amendment. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, the second year doing it, I think Amanda said it doubled. It went from like, I think 10 or 12, whatever it was the first year, to 24 or something like that this year. And now it's three rows instead of.
It seemed like it was more than that, because you had 3 rows and a lot of them were doubled up. So it just seemed like there were a lot. Yeah. I mean, anyway, I was very impressed. It's a lot more than shot. I was just very impressed with the with the media 2A presence there. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I think maybe a suggestion next year would be to try to funnel. I mean, like Amanda was doing with the NRA board members, hey, go down there and talk to people. If they could do that with some of the other celebrities that are coming to the show and direct them kind of down to us too, that would be, it'd be a feather in our cap, if you will, to give us a.
The other thing I would suggest is a better internet connection.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah,
not saying, just saying.
Yeah, I think I use my data up. I just use my phone the whole time.
When you get a better internet connection from your phone, and they really worked really hard to try and make sure that happened. They didn't anticipate. I mean, you would think that a facility that size would be used to, delivering internet, but you shouldn't have to ask what the level of internet is. But I guess now you got
vendors
to ask.
running a credit card
Craig,
machine
if I
versus
may,
a
though.
bunch of people uploading high speed video is a different lift. I suppose they weren't
no
prepared.
doubt. But Craig, I talked to you about this day 3 or maybe second day, whatever. You had the freaking solution. You brought your own router, right? You brought your own Eero and
I had my own router. What I did was, because I didn't know how the internet was going to work. I recorded, uploaded, ran it live. Recorded, uploaded, ran it live. So everything that I did, every interview that I did ran before I left the show.
So
Nice.
your origin, just to understand this, was your phone, right? You hotspotted your phone, fed it to your router, and then used the router to feed your computers and everything else. And
Exactly. The travel router actually really created a consistent signal, which allowed because my cameras were also wireless. So I needed everything to be able to operate as well as to be able to upload the video. So,
and you couldn't.
I too went through almost all of my data.
Yeah,
I think
that's a great tip, though. I wanted to learn from that, so I'm glad I asked about it again, so I could try to remember how to do that for future events like that.
I think Iran was listening, because as you were saying, your internet was solid. You cracked and crumbled on my side a little bit. I heard a little bit of a break in your voice.
I think one of the things I'm going to try to do, that I ran this through the NRA before I left, as you probably noticed, my booth, I didn't do anything. It became Michael's Lounge, and it ended up drawing. Ken Campbell from Gunsight said to me, he goes, "I'm just going to hang around your booth because eventually everybody I want to see will show up," and which did work. So we decided next year to see if we can actually make that happen in a real world live context, and actually set it up as a lounge.
That's neat.
And I said, I want a hard wire.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of like, you want a hard wire? I'm like, yeah, I want a wire. I mean, if we're gonna stream live, say we want to run 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, I got to have a wire. I can't risk running off.
Let me tell you, they had a hard wire, and it wasn't any faster than the wireless. Yeah.
Well, that's what's in Atlanta. I have hope. But
I played my DEI card, right? I pulled a race card. I got me a hard wire.
I'm from California.
Right. And look, I got the same quality every time you apply DEI. That's the exact quality internet I got.
That's funny.
One of the people I've been copying a lot, I mean, if you guys know Brian Conley, who does Hunter's HD Gold, he covers a lot of live, like IPSC, IDPA type, USPSA type events. And he's running off like 2 or 3 Starlink setups and his own routers. He has a Starlink setup attached to an ATV, so he can go anywhere on the range and have a clear shot. And what he's been able to do is fairly amazing. The guys worked with me on the internet for like 30 years, Marshall Holloway. He and I went to one of his like live broadcast events, and we just wanted to say, show us what you're doing and show us how you set this up. I mean, how does this work? And because it did work, and we were kind of like, all right, we'll steal it. I mean, we're absolutely 100%. And we'll look at that too. I mean, if I could have, anything I can do to get a direct control of the internet where I can upload any kind of like fairly reasonable stream, I can make that work. And Marshall and I have done this a lot, and we've we try to work. Also Marshall and I bitch a lot, and we've been doing it a long time, and so they fully expect us to complain, which we do. And then later they're like, okay, if we give you X, are you happy? And I'm like, for the next 20 minutes. I mean, I'll do the best I can, but I would like to see a clearer access to the internet where we can all stream successfully without it breaking down.
For sure. And I think I think that they take that feedback as year 2 coming back, it's better than the first year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
those that are there putting out content, we were with three different, it was 3 of us at a booth last year, and this year we said, hey, can we get just 2? I don't know if we could get down to one because Klint and I are teaching too. We did between the two of us eight classes and 320 students while we were there at the event. So
well, I think the way they should divide it up is okay, who's going to be there doing interviews on the regular and who's just going to be doing it like sporadically?
Yeah.
And then decide how that's going to work. Because I was there most of the day doing interviews.
In that big old cowboy hat.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes, it was in Houston, so I wore a cowboy hat. Although I got a lot of really good feedback on my look, so that may become a look for me now, especially as the hair is thinning.
I was expecting to have it on tonight.
I was surprised. You were natural. I was surprised to hear you were from Sacto, right?
Yes, sir.
I was surprised. I figured you were Texan all the way, man. You had the look.
Well, I'm a Cowboys fan. Not that counts, but
before I forget, I want to say thanks to DJ Play Nice. He's always on the episodes that we do, hopping on there, telling people to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun. Click the little bell thingy, my little verbiage that I do in the videos. So DJ Play Nice, thanks. Shoot me a message. I want to hook you up with something for all the support you're giving and helping us grow the channel. Thank you.
So is DJ like a DJ? Is he like scratching? Wicked.
Could you do that again, please?
Yeah.
What was that? Okay, good. Thank you. Got it.
Play nice.
Stop with that DEI stuff.
Were we the only ones?
Kind of collabing
Okay.
a little bit. I heard a little freestyle go on. You guys need to go back.
All right, so real quick, DJ Play Nice just asked, it's not just about the hat and the boots, but it's about the buckle too. Now here's the deal. If they made a really nice cowboy like buckle that worked with a gun belt, I'd be on it. Yeah, that's an excellent point. I ain't gonna lie. I love my boots. I love my hat, but I gotta wear a belt that I can carry with.
No, that's why I always make them take the belt off when I'm doing my pat downs.
So back to the hardwire and all of that. Were we the only ones in this group who were pre-recording?
No, we pre-recorded. I was actually about to comment how brave you guys are to go live.
Mm-hmm.
We actually stopped going live a couple years ago when we tried to do a holster review, and we used a banana rather than a gun to be super safe. And they still cut the live, even though we pulled a banana out of a holster. So we finally were just like, you know what, we're not smart enough to go live. You guys, all the power to you, man. You guys are way braver than I.
Well, we did it
for the banana and the holster.
You're just happy to see me.
We were live all 3 days. Who else went live?
Yeah, we did. We were live all 22 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys were and we were. So everybody else pre-recorded. It never even occurred to me to actually pre-record this. I just kind of wanted everybody to follow it and feel it every step that we were going, and hell, we went, in addition to doing the live from the row, after we were done doing the lives, we actually just kind of toured the entire center, the convention center, and went live on the, with the phone, just to kind of show everybody like the, the first-hand thing. And that included a lot of gaffes and a lot of mistakes and a lot of, in between periods with one guest coming and another one going and all that stuff. But I don't know. I found it. I think people kind of felt more like they were there because of that. We can it, and I'm sure it works awesome when you guys do that. But I probably don't have the time or the patience to can it and make it look good. I'm just gonna be out there for all of the mistakes for everybody to see. But man,
I've tried it both.
Yeah, fun time.
I've tried it both ways, and I prefer the live. Like I said, I wasn't live. I was recorded, uploaded, send it out as live.
You were Milli Vanilli live.
live to tape.
Hey, Bob,
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Bob,
go.
Matt gave you BS advice at the beginning. Why don't you gain up just a hair? You seem a little bit low.
Mine is a little low.
Yeah, just a hair, just a hair.
Bob?
Okay, my bad. And you know what? I probably got to lean up a little bit too. That's probably going to help a little bit.
So yeah, we did them live, and last year we recorded. We intended on recording and doing them live simultaneously, but that didn't actually work out.
Yeah.
Although we were able to record to Streamline or stream. What is this? StreamYard.
StreamYard.
But so what we're gonna do is download those, and then I'll cut together like a greatest hits and do like 2 maybe montage episodes that we'll upload.
So it's going to be all me then. All me. The greatest hits.
Well, your logo will be in all the hits.
Cheryl, your humility is impressive.
Thank you. I'm trying to work through how humble I am. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the
a work in
live streams,
progress.
though.
We need to work on your self-confidence. Seriously, though.
True.
The
Really,
live
I gotta
streams are
get out
just
of
like
my
this.
shell.
You just cross your fingers and
Yeah.
your butt puckers, and you're like, let's go.
Yeah, no,
Well,
thank you.
You know, all of a sudden the sound drops out. And, you know, we don't have someone. My background is I was the guy that was monitoring and making sure the audio levels were perfect and making sure those things would happen to other people in front of camera. So for me to be on this side of the camera and just hit go and have faith that it'll work.
Oh yeah.
It's
and he leaves it up and he leaves it up to me to screw it up, right, Bob?
I know you got some of y'all. Those of y'all who had like someone who was like actually behind the camera. There is something to being both in front of and behind the camera at the same time that is kind of scary.
Yeah, doing all the work behind there. That's why when Clint and I came up with the meet the pressers, I was like, I'm not doing this on my own. I can't do it with everything else I got going on. So if it wasn't for us being able to help each other out and pick up the slack when the other one's doing other things, it'd be tough.
It's kind of like Ghost riding the whip.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people
half our audience
emailed
is like,
me.
what?
A lot of people have emailed me and requested that I go behind the camera, but
what does Mike say? He's like, I got a face for radio or something. Doesn't he say something like that, Craig?
Oh yeah, yes. Mike says he has a face for radio.
I've been hearing that for 28 years. Truthfully.
Why don't we go around the horn here and we'll start with you, Bob, because you're the closest to me on the screen, and let us know like maybe how many episodes you did, how many people you had there, and if you have anybody that stands out, kind of like Cheryl started with that at your recordings that you did.
Yeah, I can do the last part first because it was the most amazing. We kept him for. I didn't mean to keep him that long, but he just kept going. But Stephen Williford, the hero from Sutherland Springs, came up and gave us just an incredible, riveting account of everything that went down that day and in 2017, I guess, you know, he has finally, I think, just reading about him, I read a little bit about him, a long time ago. And then as years have gone on, and there was even somebody else told us about it. My friend Charlie's the one who actually made friends with him on Facebook. He was kind of my associate and my producer there. And he had been a very reluctant relator of his story. You know, he was a hero, but a reluctant one. And he was just like, I just reacted and he wasn't real big on telling the story. But as the years have gone by, he sat down with us, and I don't know why, but he just unleashed so much and talking about not just that day and what he did that day, running in his bare feet across that 100 yards to that church and screaming to get the attention of the shooter to make him stop and come out and the whole 9 yards. When he told that story, that was unlike anything I'd ever heard. Don't get me wrong. Had a great time listening to the VPs, had a great time talking to some of the presenters. We had some of the actual, some of the vendors come over and talk about their gear. We had Silencer. We had Faxon. Faxon, I think, was one of the companies from Cincinnati. We wanted to try to reach out to the fellow Ohio folks. We talked to them. I think we did probably 6 or 7 interviews on day 1, about another 6 or so on day 2. And we were only there for an hour because of our flight on day 3. But Stephen Williford was the highlight for me and for us. And I think everybody who watched that got so much out of that, listening to that man. Now I think he has embraced the fact that he saved at least 25 lives, at least based on the number of people who survived in that church. And I'll tell you what, hearing his story and hearing his faith, which is a big part of our show too, talking about his wife being the only person that he cared, whose judgment that he cared about from that day and ever. It was just phenomenal stuff. And if anybody wants to visit my channel, it's on Rumble primarily. It's called Strictly Speaking Unfiltered on Rumble. Go back and look for what it would have been the 14th or 15th, day 2. So Saturday, I guess that would have been what, the 4th. My days might be off, but whatever. It was the Saturday, 15th, I think it was. But go back and listen to that interview with Stephen Williford and just enjoy him, because that was a phenomenal moment for me.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
glad to see I'm not the only one that gets my dates confused, Bob. Thank you.
I don't know what the hell I don't remember what the Friday, Saturday, Sunday were. 14, 15, 16, maybe something like that. But anyway.
Super. Well, appreciate that for sure. We had Stephen on a while ago, and it was fascinating to hear the story, and barefooted shooter. So real quick, we need to pop in here and throw up our giveaway. So make sure you enter to get some cool stuff from some of our sponsors. We've got Gideon, we've got Otis, we've got Next Level Training, we've got Mantis, we've got Excess Sites, and Active Self Protection. So check them out, meetthepressers.com/giveaways. We're going to be drawing the winners of those giveaways coming up here end of the month, beginning of May.
Prizes in excess of $1,000.
Dun, dun, dun. Super. So let's go with Michael Bain. You had said you didn't have people are coming and going, but did you get any interviews done?
And I'm in kind of a different position in that I've got a lot of data that says interviews don't pull for me. And apparently, my bullshit slides, but in tracking my own data over a period of several years, Marshall and I determined that we just didn't see that much pull out of interviews. And so we stopped, partly for that reason. We know kind of who from our standpoint, interviews are going to play well, and we'll reach out to those people at some length. But for my own audience, which it depends on, a video product. I've got the stupid podcast that's now its 23rd year. I mean,
wow.
It's old enough to have grandchildren, I think, but it's gone on a long time, and as a consequence, we've assembled a lot of data out of it. And so rather than go to, say, a trade show where we're going to try to pull a whole bunch of interviews, which we know are not going to pull, a lot of it is example of a product is that you explain the product to me and I'll explain it to the listener, to the viewer, depending on which, because I found that plays better. For whatever reason that is, I don't know. But again, I ended up with when I finally retired from television, I had 900 half-hour episodes. So I had enough data to flood me,
Yeah.
But so that was, as much as anything, what I go to my audience with is trends, and that more than anything else is remains a driver and has been a driver for a long time. So I punked out. Next year in the lounge, you can all come, you can all sit. We'll have a red light, and hopefully we'll have a wire that actually works. If we could get outside the building with a Starlink, we would. But
well, I'm sure the lovely individual that just posted, Amanda Suffolk, is on top of that.
There she is. There's the Freedom Award winner right there.
I tell you what, Michael Bain, the cable for that Starlink isn't very big. We just need to get on the roof with a screw gun and a drill bit, and we can make that Starlink work.
I've probably done weirder stuff.
I just can't believe, Michael, you've been doing your podcast 23 years. Isn't that before Al Gore invented the internet? I mean, that's.
I talked a lot about muzzle loaders. I was so excited when we finally got a percussion cap. It's changed my entire life. So,
was that tin can with string between?
It pretty much was. Marshall and I'll shut up because I'll talk endlessly. But Marshall and I did the first quote unquote live broadcast from the SHOT Show. And then the next year we moved the first video. And that live podcast was audio, but the next year we moved video, but it was video live to tape. We shot it on tape, transferred it to digital, and then we stayed in the hotel rooms all night long and ran the phones. And then the next day I had to say that I had an emergency family illness at home, and that's why I was on the phone line for 14 hours. So it does seem like it was a tin can and string.
Well, it's amazing, the technology. I mean, years ago we would have recorded it. We would have FedEx taped somewhere and they would have edited it. It would have been up, doing Vivix links and stuff in the late 90s and needing gazillion-dollar trucks. So the fact that we can just take a cell phone and we can broadcast the show live with 720p or higher resolution is just, it's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. So, Craig.
Yes, sir.
How did your interviews go? How was everything there?
So they went well. So last year when I did it, and this tends to be the thing at SHOT Show every year, I go and I'm like, I spend all day, every day sitting there doing interviews. And so this year I said, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna do that because I don't get a chance to actually experience the show. So this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna do like 2 or 3 interviews, then I'm gonna go check stuff out. Then I'm gonna do 2 or 3 interviews, I'm gonna go check stuff out. Even with that, from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I wound up doing a total of 16 interviews.
Nice.
You know, and I'll tell you, it's probably going to be interesting because my favorite interviews are probably not my audience's favorite interviews. My 2 favorite interviews were these. The first was Jason Herman, who is the attorney from Arms Room Radio, because we were talking about law and geeks. And I'll tell you, I just be honest, I tell everybody this. I am more of a gun law geek than I am a gun policy geek than I am a gun geek. Because for me, that is the fundamental civil right that is the first line of defense. Once they disarm us, then everything else then becomes suspect. So when it comes to firearms policy, and that's the one they're most comfortable going after. So for me, if I can get someone who can talk gun law, I'm in heaven.
That's awesome.
Right. Then the next was the last interview that we did, and that was with Mr. Michael Schwartz of San Diego Gun Owners and Gun Owners Radio, because you know, so often when I was working with FPC, I get everybody calling saying, well, why don't you guys do this, and why don't you guys do that, and why don't you guys do this? And I'm like, look, we're one group, we're an organization, we can't do everything. And this was a guy who came in and was like, look, he didn't say, well, why can't you guys do this? He said, look, this needs to be done. I'm going to do it. And, you know, then reached out and was like, if you guys can help, how can you help? And so having that conversation, because to me, that's inspiring. That there's a bunch of people out there who want to do something, who have a vision to do something. They like vision. I'm like this. Look, when the Lord gives you a vision, there's a reason why he gave it to you. He gave it to you because maybe you're the one that's supposed to implement it. And then share that vision, and you'll find people that'll help you make it happen. And that's exactly what Mike did.
Nice.
Well, that's super nice, Craig. Thank you. That's very humbling. Thank you.
Well, it ain't just nice; it's true.
Aw.
I know. Big hug.
Yeah.
I know.
I love you guys.
I love you guys.
You guys are awesome. Bob, your turn. Your turn.
I already took my turn, man. But I'll tell you what, that was a great story, and that's I love your vision on that, Craig, too. To be honest with you, my buddy Charlie was my guy on the scene. He's the gun geek more than me too. I'm more about the law. I'm more about the policies. I'm more about the, attempts to restrict and so on and so forth. So, it's much more from a policy standpoint. I like to talk to elected officials. I like to talk to senators. I like to talk to members of Congress, which I do on a regular basis, and I have for many, many years. And so whenever there's something that is being pushed or something else, with respect to our rights and, the Second and beyond, but that's where my, lawyer, that's why I was invited to be a part of this. There are so many amazing people there, including you guys. And what did you say there were? Some 24 shows or more?
Something like that.
That were invited. Yeah. I mean, so many more knew so much more about the actual, gun geek stuff than I do or did. That's why I brought Charlie. I don't know if anybody there knew as much as he did. He's crazy, crazy good. But I'm like you, Craig. I'm about the law, and I'm about making sure that our rights are protected and not restricted. And that's what I enjoyed about it so much. My big regret, by the way, if I may, since we're all doing like what our highlight was and stuff, is, Craig, you just talked to Michael. You said some of you guys interviewed each other, and I didn't do that. I didn't want to overstep, and I didn't know if that was done because this was my first show. First, a convention like this too. But, meeting you guys just in, brief passing and exchanging cards and shit like that made me really wish I had said, hey, why don't you come down to our table for a little while and let's talk about your stuff. So I'm glad to be able to collab a little bit with you guys now, because that's what I wanted to do and wish I could have done on the show.
We all noticed, Bob. We all do.
Here we go.
Did I ask you to come down and talk yet? No, he didn't talk to me yet.
So Amanda's got the official numbers. 34 shows.
34. Wow.
Yeah.
That was the number I guessed.
Yeah. Much more than the year before. So Cheryl, you got a fan saying hello. Hello, Cheryl.
Oh, that is my brother, Jason Burst.
Nice.
Hello there. My daughter said hello earlier.
Yeah, look at that.
Cousin Kim saying hello. Oh, the whole family tuning in. That's my whole viewer base right there.
Wait, I'm the gun geek. I'm the one with a torque wrench on my desk.
I love it. Well, I wanted to say I also got to interview another big name, Michael Schwartz, but he was a complete hero rock star because I think it was who did I bump you for? I had you scheduled and then you were standing at the booth, Michael, ready to go like a total pro. And then I'm like, hey, can I maybe bump you to later today? Because Jeff Johnson.
It was the janitor, the facility janitor.
I think it was the facility janitor. I was pretty sure it was the janitor.
Goodness.
I needed to get his hot take on the whole thing. But no, you were amazing because you let me bump you. And then your interview wasn't even until after they had shut the lights off. And my booth mates, Matt and Klint, took their lights and went home. They took their balls and went home. And we did the interview in the dark.
You didn't need them anymore.
Well, I think I shine bright enough to.
Look at that.
Right.
But,
If you had asked to borrow my lights, I would have let my light shine on you, girl.
Oh, see, I'll remember that next time. But
Is this another group hug moment? Because
you guys are gonna make.
No kidding. You guys are awesome.
You're gonna make me cry again.
But Michael, I cannot appreciate you enough for both of those things.
Aww.
So thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much. And
My
amazing
pleasure.
interview. Because I, like Craig, I am, the policy wonk geek. And so just tell me about the California governor race. Like, tell me more about it, And even when I was talking with Mark Geist, we ended up talking about the Colorado governor's race because Victor Marx is running and he's advising Victor Marx. And so I'm just all about that. So
Nice.
Excellent interview, Michael. I appreciate it. I don't know how I managed to not get the rest of you guys on there, but next year you're in my bullseye. So
I guess Michael, she just like opened for you, so you're up. Go ahead and
No kidding. Yeah, I didn't really know. We just kind of showed up. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really even feel like we knew what we were doing. But I think I feel like that in a lot of situations. So we just showed up with cameras and we were hopeful that somebody would sit down with us. And I don't think we barely had an empty spot the whole weekend. And I was thrilled. I mean, we got all set up and I talked to Rich, my producer, and I said, all right, are we good to go? And he said, yeah, we can start at any time. So I just grabbed a lady. Well, I didn't grab her. I called out to a lady who was walking by and I said, hey, let me interview you just to get it started, and had no idea who she was. She was a total stranger. And she actually ended up being a great interview. She was an instructor. She works out of the NRA headquarters. She actually trains instructors to be instructors. She started out being very anti-gun or not interested in guns at all. I can't remember if she was really anti-gun, but it was definitely scary to her. And now I think maybe barely 10 years later, she's a huge professional that's neck deep. So it was such a good first interview and it was so unexpected. It was meant to just kind of be a trial run that boom, the bug bit me and I was off and running and I loved it. I just wanted, as soon as I was done with one interview, I wanted to go on to the next interview and everybody made themselves available. I ended up interviewing a bunch of people, the Attorney General from Montana, Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets, Robin Sandoval from A Girl and a Gun, Dwight from SEAL One. There were all kinds of people from politics to organizing to products. The coolest product I saw was ACE, which was a virtual reality training system. Not a game, but a virtual reality training system. So I got to put the goggles on and shoot,
saw
you
that.
know, one of the virtual reality. It was amazing. I seriously got to bust open my piggy bank and buy one of those things because it was really amazing. But here's I think the best interview, and I'm specifically purposely bringing this up, is a guy named, his name is Jonathan Goldstein, and he's an NRA board member. And he started out as a fundraiser for NRA, and he was raising real funds, it sounds like, for the NRA. And things started to happen, and Jonathan decided, hey, I need some answers, and he didn't get any answers, so he pulled away from the NRA like a lot of us did. And then the NRA started, you know, people started to run, the reformers, the NRA 2.0 folks started to run. He got word of that and ran. And his background is he's an attorney. He's got a law degree, but he uses it for business purposes. And so he knows what he's talking about when he talks about financials and accountability and that sort of thing. He's on the finance committee and the audit committee. And I really talked about the nuts and bolts of, okay, what kind of improvements have been made so that, one, you're profitable for the first time in years, which they are. They're, I think, $11 million in the black. And two, so this never happens again. And he went into depth on that. And the reason I talk about that interview, there's a lot of, John Correa, there were a lot of, Ed Monk. These interviews are kind of these explosive interviews where these guys are super interesting in what they're doing. And those are going to get a lot more views. This is probably the most important interview I did all weekend, Jonathan Goldstein, because it really, truly is talking about the real future of the most important Second Amendment organization in the world. And for that reason, because it's so important and informative, it's going to get like 14 views. And it's unfortunate because it should get like 400,000 views. His candor was amazing. The things that they're doing, he really spelled it out. It wasn't just a bunch of platitudes and, like pie in the sky stuff. Now, I talked to a lot of board members and they're all great. I talked to Doug Hamlin. I interviewed Doug and he was great.
Nice.
But Jonathan Goldstein, he really stood out head and shoulders on the real important issues that people have the most concerns about with the NRA. So that's the interview I really am most proud of. And I'm not sure when we're going to roll it out, but we're going to roll it out soon.
Very nice.
But the show was awesome.
That was an excellent
Everybody
tease.
was so great. And, I was so impressed. I'd never done anything like that before. And I'm addicted. I think we walked away with 32 interviews for the weekend.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I just loved it. We got to go, we went to a seminar with NRA's Dave Holbrook. He talked about the different, there were a bunch of affiliates from different states in the room and how they use NRA as a resource and how basically the NRA doesn't dictate to them what to do. They just provide resources for them so that they can do their best Second Amendment work. So I was really honored to be invited and got to participate in that. And it was just amazing. I just thought it was great. I saw Harmeet Dillon walk by and I snagged my nephew. I was right in the middle of an interview and I said, pause. And I grabbed my nephew. My nephew, Sam, was there. And I said, Sam, that's Harmeet Dillon. Go get an interview. And he begged and pleaded, but I guess you got to go through official channels. So we're going to try to go through official channels and get her interview. But
hey, I actually got to interview Harmeet at SHOT.
Nice.
She's first of all, I've known Harmeet for decades. She's been involved in the California Republican Party, and I'll just say this: everything good that has come out of DOJ in the last 6 months has come from Harmeet Dillon. I'll just say that as the president considers who to make the next attorney general. Let me just say that.
Amen to that. Well, we'll Clint's gonna give a little spiel here, and then we're gonna go around the room and have everybody say what you got coming up next and how people can check you out. So be ready for that.
Okay, well, my spiel begins like this. How many of you guys want to become rich? Let me explain to you the benefits of network marketing. Today, I love doing that. There's been seminars where I came in, I had 100, 200 people in there, and I'd get up there and they'd introduce me and I'd start off like that. It's
That's funny.
always a great way to break the ice. But now we had a great time, man. At our annual meetings like Old Home Week. So, Matt and I come to this show. We did it to kind of supplement and showcase our training companies. And so, of course, we're also doing classes there. So, we meet with a lot of people in the training industry. Most of my personal Second Amendment advocacy is focused more in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and in the Northeast. But we did get a chance to talk to a bunch of different types of people. It was refreshing to have so many of the board members available to us. And, we even had to turn a few away just because schedule just wasn't working out. It was fun, Matt. I don't know. I forget which board member I asked, but I asked them if they actually do have Charlton Heston's cryogenically frozen hand at NRA headquarters. And he kind of looked at me like, huh? But yeah, we had a pretty busy time, man. We did 22 live shows. We had 35 guests throughout those live shows. There were a couple shows as we got kind of backed up with scheduling. We had two separate guests kind of jump in on the same show. And of course, Matt and I were running back and forth. Craig, you were saying, or I think it was Craig, said that you wanted to be able to go see the show. I actually went from the Voices of a Second Amendment booth down to the wall, over to the USCCA booth, out the door, up the escalators to teach, come back down. So I really only ever saw our area where the Voices were, the USCCA booth, and then upstairs where all the classrooms were. But in addition to the shows, between Matt and I, as he mentioned, we did 8 seminars, and a lot of people. So it was a great deal of work, but a great deal of fun. It was really good to see the old friends and folks that we've trained with and we fought alongside, I should say, and met quite a lot of new friends too.
I would think this is the next thing next to SHOT Show, right? SHOT Show being probably the premier show to go to see everybody and meet executives and close deals. And then this one would be that next echelon of shows, that one that you shouldn't miss. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys all coming on as we're getting here. We got about 5 minutes left. So why don't we go around? Ladies first, Cheryl. What do you got coming up next? Any other shows you're going to, national shows, and how do people find more about you?
Absolutely. And when you're talking about important shows where you can do exactly what we did, is Goals, the Gun Owners of America Goals. Their 3rd year's coming up. It'll be in Iowa. I think it's the first weekend of August. It's a must go to for us from year one. It's really good. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. We set up a booth just like we did at NRA and just, speed date interviews. And so always ask everybody to go to our homepage, and all of our social media is under the same name. It is Gun Freedom Radio, and you don't have to put all those U's in. You can just use one U. But the way you pronounce it is gunfreedomradio.com, and we are slowly trickling out each one of the interviews. So we're doing like 3 a week, I think is how we're spacing them out, and we just really appreciate everybody's support, and the likes and the shares matter. And if we ever get out of YouTube jail, then you can find us there as well. But in the meantime, check us out on Rumble.
For sure. Thank you. Michael, Mr. Bain.
Mr. Bain, you can always find me on michaelbain.tv and YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, God knows where else. But just to mention quickly, I took a contract with the NRA to help them launch America's Rifle Challenge, their new competition for ARs, because I felt very strongly that in talking to Doug Hamlin and talking to Mark Keefe, who's been my friend for many, many years, that it was an important launch for them. And I've done a lot of work in launching shooting sports. And they said, Keefe said as a personal favor, and Hamlin said, me too. So I took that contract to help them get this sport launched and try not to screw it up. I feel like I've made every mistake possible in launching shooting sports. If you launch a bunch of them, each one you get a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to that. I've got a seminar with them to talk about range rules, safety rules, match direction later next week, I think. So it'll be fun, and there's always a good reason. As a gun geek, yeah, give me a good reason to go out and shoot an AR. I'm pretty much good with it, So
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, and it's always awesome to catch up with you. Too bad I wanted to spend more time with you.
I may need to dart away because I swore to God to my girlfriend that I would be off at 6. She goes, "You're never off at 6. You're never when you say you would be." So I may have to leave.
You're good. We're
Go with
glad you
God,
can make
Michael. Go take care of
All
your
right,
girlfriend,
guys.
brother.
Good to
Absolutely.
see you, Matt.
Good to see
Glenn,
you.
all of you. I'll see you on the next lap.
Good to see you, Michael.
You too.
Good to see you, sir.
And Dewey.
Let me see if I can help him from this side. Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
I think he's
All right.
gonna make it.
All right, we'll go around the clock. Bob, up in the middle.
Yeah. You know what? What I think is next for me is really going to be getting to know more of you guys, seriously, because I want to have you guys on my live stream, and I want to make it a regular basis. I maybe because I go 2 hours a day every day. I go live 2 hours a day every day, 7 to 9 Eastern a.m. I want to make this like kind of a weekly thing. I do 2A stuff when there's 2A stuff to be done, when there's some dumbass trying to push another gun control law through, or they're going to, some idiots making the attempt on the president's life on Saturday about freaking guns. It's a gun problem. And, I take these things on when they come, and when there's legislation that needs to be pushed, I put on the newsmakers and the policymakers and the lawmakers, and I do those kinds of things. But it's kind of like I said, on a news cycle type basis. But I would like to do more of this and more of talking about, and I'll let you get as gun geeky as you want to get, even if I'm more, like I said, about legislation and policy. But I'll do that. I kind of want to do that with you guys because I was very inspired by what I saw in Houston. And I'll tell you something else. What my show primarily is, for those who want to check it out, and I'm on all the socials in some variation or another of the name Strictly Speaking. So, for example, on X, my account, there's not enough characters for Strictly Speaking, so it's just at Strict Speaking. So if you look for some variation of that on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble is where my show, that's kind of the hub that I do every day live. It's pushed out to Facebook and to X and to YouTube as well, but I don't mess with YouTube very much for all the reasons that Cheryl was talking about and you guys were all talking about before. The censorship was too much. So I do my stuff primarily on Rumble, and I'll push it if it gets spiked by X or by YouTube, so be it. But it's about all things basically. The traditional faith, family, freedom, and fortitude is what my show is about. Christian conservative stuff is very, very important to me. It is the culture war we're in right now is for the survival of this republic. And if this republic comes down to a civil war, it's one of the reasons why you damn well better believe I'm all 2A. So that's what I'm doing. And I would love to have anybody that watches you guys on the regular come on over and check it out. The show, like I said, it's live stream, but obviously it's on the channel. So available 24/7 after that. So, I want to lean a lot more into what I learned in Houston and into a lot more of what you guys are doing. That's something that I could tell you is next for me. But if you're into conservative talk and conservative ideals and ideas and family value type stuff, that's what my show is all about. So I welcome everybody.
Very cool. Well, thank you. And
You bet.
Great to have you. Craig.
Well, okay. So first of all, my primary show is it's Monday through Friday. We do a daily video podcast. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcast. We do both video and audio. You'll find it on Rumble. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on Facebook. It's called The Rundown, 2A News and Conservative Views. I do it with my good friend, Mr. Michael Piwowarski. I call him Mikey P. He's from the East Coast. I'm from the West Coast, and we talk politics and we talk 2A. and we do it from just the everyday person's perspective. So you want to check it out, just go to the rundown.us. Got a new project that I'm launching. Well, I have a new project that I just launched, 2A News with Craig DeLuz, where I talk specifically about 2A content, and you'll find that specifically on YouTube and on Rumble at the 2A News channel. And then we're also launching a newsletter. This is going to be, it's called the 2A Newsletter. It's going to have basically be news aggregation from all of the Second Amendment, the 2A news content creators, both video and written, as well as 2A stories that are in the mainstream media. So obviously we want folks to kind of see what I see. And it's been great because from between the Gun Rights Policy Conference and SHOT and NRA, I've had a chance to meet and hang out with a lot of you. And I know that y'all are on the ground. You're on the ground in the middle of the fight, and people need to hear from you. And so I want to try and amplify those voices. So that is still the newsletter is probably about a week or two away from officially being launched. But if you want to learn more about it, once it's eventually working, 2anews.us will be the place to go.
Awesome. Well,
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for joining, and we're looking forward to being on that aggregated stream that you got going on there. It was awesome to hear about that. In Texas, everything's big in Texas, even our ideas.
Thing.
Michael, last but certainly not least.
Yeah, the other Michael. So Gun Owners Radio, go to gunownersradio.com. You can find us. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, anywhere you can hear a podcast or any social media. We're all over the place, but we'd love to have you follow us. Next for us, if you're in Southern California, go to gunprom.com and buy tickets to our gala this year. It's on May 9th. Gunprom.com right here in San Diego County. We'd love to have you. Tickets are only on sale for, I think it's another less than a week. So hurry up and buy your tickets and come have fun with us. And then I'll be in Boston or just outside of Boston for the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. They're doing a first of a series of regional meetings for activists. And I'm a big fan of that idea. And so even though it's all the way on the other side of the country, I want to be there for the first one and help them in any way I can help them, but then also just kind of get a feel for what they're doing. So when it comes time, when they hit the ball all the way out in left field, I'll be standing there waiting to catch it. So I'm really excited about that. And then GRPC in September, of course, which is in Dallas, making another trek to Texas.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome. Houston was really exciting, and I'm really truly honored that you guys invited me on here. I think this is so great. I think you guys are absolutely just top notch, man. So thank you for including Gun Owners Radio on this.
Well, we appreciate that. You've had us on your show before, so we wanted to return the favor, and didn't get to talk much while we were there in Texas. So figured this
Michael, make sure you look me up. I will be at the Citizen Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms event in Maine. So let's make sure we meet up.
Absolutely. We'll have a Sam Adams.
That's
what you gotta do when you're out there.
Maybe.
Hey guys, I just want to follow up on what Michael said and say thank you to you guys. Seriously, Matt, for the invitation. I mean, there are a whole lot of folks there, a whole lot of good people, and to be invited to, first of all, to Houston for the event was awesome, but to be invited here for this retrospective and look back at what went on and so forth was so cool. Thank you for doing it, and thanks for letting me be a part of it. Seriously.
No problem. That's what this is about. The networking, bringing us together and helping each other out. We know we need it in this industry. Or this climate, if you will.
I echo that as well. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And you were fantastic booth mates, even though you took the lights and went home. I'm over it. I'm not bitter.
Not bitter at all.
At least we didn't leave like a little trail of breadcrumbs or something. So we've got a few things going on. Clint and I will ramble it off. We were talking to Trampa Swanson. We're going to be doing an article, a joint Meet the Pressers article in his magazine. So we got that in the works. We were hoping to have John Keys on tonight. He couldn't make it, but he was going to come on, and we were going to kind of let the cat out of the bag that we are going to have Meet the Pressers on We the Free TV. So WTF.TV. Our shows will be starting to air on there, which we're excited about to expand that. We're already on Active Cell Protection's ASP Unlimited app. So moving over to that platform too definitely helps with the suppression on YouTube and everywhere else. And we just got word a couple days ago that we will be speaking at the Rod of Iron Freedom Festival at the Tommy Gun Warehouse in Pennsylvania. So we are going to be speakers there talking about something new they're going to be doing is training. They haven't really had a training element. So we're going to be talking about everyday self-defense and kind of what Clint and I have been teaching at the NRA shows for the NRA annual meeting and the NRA Great American Outdoor Show for the past couple of years. Personally, on my side, June, I've got NRA instructor classes, USCCA, Saber Pepper Spray, UTM, use of force instructor classes. I'm doing a whole instructor academy in the month of June here in upstate New York for anybody interested. And coming up next week, I've got the honor to travel out to St. Louis to train over 200 of Saber's employees on their products. I'm actually teaching their class at their headquarters for all of their employees on their products. So I was pretty humbled that they tapped me to do that. So what do you got, Clint?
Well, I'm coming to you live from a hotel room in New Hampshire right now. I'm actually teaching some USCCA instructor courses right now, and I'll have the weekend to do a little bit of sightseeing as I travel south. And on Monday and Tuesday, I'm actually assisting Mike Seeklander. He's training some feds at Fort Dix. So I'll be there kind of acting as his range monkey, helping them out. But got a lot of stuff coming up. I've got dates for the PDN training tour, and I have dates in at your place in New York and New Jersey, all over Pennsylvania. And National Trainer Teacher Day is June 20th. So volunteer instructors from across the nation are offering free training on June 20th to teachers, administrators, school staff, and anyone that works with youth in a leadership capacity. Could be anything from firearms training, safety training, carry training, non-lethal, first aid, just awareness, avoidance. There's a lot of stuff being offered by a whole host of instructors across the nation. So if you know anyone that fits that bill, they can go to nationaltrainerteacherday.com to find an instructor near them that would be offering a program. If you can't find a program on there or nearby, contact me. My information's in there, and I could put on a virtual seminar for you, or I could find someone to get you some free training on National Trainer Teacher Day.
Awesome. Well, I guess it's time to bid adieu. Everybody, thank you. Stay safe. Everybody out there watching it. Yeah.
Now it's time to say goodbye, right? We do the Mickey Mouse thing.
I was wondering where that was coming from. I'm like, wah, wah, wah. All
See
right,
you real soon.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And then I guess I'll do Mickey or Donald, right? All right, everybody, stay safe.
Thanks, guys.
See you around.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Go with God.